So, hi everyone, a very good evening to everyone who is watching this. We are back with yet another podcast, and this time we have Amit Joshi, who is working as a software development agent at Microsoft. And this whole session, the next 1 hour or so, we're going to understand from him what has been his journey and how did he, get out of college to joining some tech giant, and how has been his whole experience, and what all key takeaways can you guys take from this whole session and all the challenges a developer faces. Then if you guys are aspiring to, you can start your career in one of these tech companies. So what are those steps that you should actually follow? We have to learn from an actual person who has done it and achieved it. So yeah, we have Amit. Hi Amit, thank you for coming here. How has been your journey?
Hey, hi Prasad. Thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here and discuss this thing. So usually I interact with college friends and all to share something which I've learned. So yeah, it would be great to discuss with a wider audience here in the podcast.
Great, amazing. First of all, again, huge thanks from the whole team for joining us here. Like to start the whole conversation, right? Let's roll back to the initial days. So back to your schooling days, right? How has your schooling played a part into shaping you as a developer and an individual that you are today, right? If you could just throw some light on what you learned or what were the key takeaways when you basically completed your initial schooling.
Sure. So good question, Prasad. I think that was an important part of my life, and like as a person who am I today, that was a important and a crucial thing which shaped my life. So I come from a defense background. So my father was in Indian Army, and he served in Indian Army. Currently, he's retired. So I started my schooling and all from a defense school, and I stayed in a defense background throughout my life. So I started my schooling in Pune. That was my primary school. Then I moved back to Mahu, which is military headquarters war, a cantonment area, and then I studied till 12th in Army Public School Mahu. So again, army institution. So one thing I would say, because army is known for discipline and army is known for like taking up challenges and all. So I think that was there in my life, like from beginning itself. I've seen my father going out for different postings and all, and you need to move places, you need to meet different places, people and all during that time. So I would say that played an important role, like in understanding how like life works in general and what is the importance of discipline in life. So I think during my, like I would talk about more later, how during my internship and my current like job, day-to-day job also, how this discipline things, having a good fitness level helps in your day-to-day life and your productivity as well. So in my school days, I would like used to take part in different competitions also. That was another thing I would like to share. So I was a national level painter in my school days. So somehow that thing helped me to be creative. So creativity is something that it's not specific to some art related field, but it's there in our like software domain also. So I would say that like thinking about some painting, thinking about some idea, then creating that artwork and all, I would say that was another important thing which was there in my life during my school days, which helped me to have some good thinking, creative thinking, I would say, during my software related task also.
Great. So I guess army people are already pretty disciplined, like and always stand out, right? So that is amazing. So now coming, of course, from the schooling, right? When you joined college, so did you have that notion by default from the start that you wanted to become a software developer, or did it came around as you were learning or studying your college days? And also on the same note, like I'd also like to know, like, were you eagerly or you can say actively participating into things that were totally tech related, or you can say you found it later, okay, my passion is tech, something of that sort.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I would say it was not like I had this key, I joined this particular company, or I would get into engineering itself. That was something I would say till 10th. This was not something there at the time when I passed. This internet or this free internet or widespread internet was coming in. So like not much information was available. It was there, but if I compare like in today's world and the time when I was passing out, so it was very simple. Okay, your seniors are going to some particular coaching institute and they're enrolling there and they're preparing for exams and all. So after my 10th, I got to know about this JE and all, and then actually I wanted to join army or some defense force actually, but that is story for some other day. That why I'm in Microsoft and not.
I'm also interested. Like you said, your father has been in army, and then we have a son who is into a different industry.
Yes. So maybe I think this podcast will be extended if I share that. So maybe we'll have some other discussion. Sure.
For this.
So, but yeah, that was my initial plan after 10 plus 2 actually. But things like there was some different plans which was there for me, I would say. So then I applied for JEE exam. Then I, based on my score and all, I entered into this college, EIT, Ministry of Technology, which is again a defense institute. So this is again a special place because every ward there is coming from an army background. So you can say that again this army thing continued in my life. So that same discipline, that same kind, like-minded kind of people having this discipline in place. All the college administration was retired army officer and all. So that is how that came in this thing, like entering to a college and all. And again, if I talk about my stream, so in my childhood days, I would say again, I go back to past, that I used to break my toys and take out that motor or some chip and all these things.
I can relate to this.
Yes. So I would say, so playing with that toy was fun, but taking out that motor and attaching a fan or something to it was like more fun.
Correct.
So that is how this some creating something or this kind of thing was there. And there was one show used to come on TV, Backyard Science or something like that.
Yeah.
So creating those some playful science-based fun objects or some fun toys. So this thing was there in my mind. Okay, I like to create things. As I mentioned, I was into art and paint also. There I used to create things, and this tech side also, science side also, I had this interest. So initially I was into this IoT domain, Internet of Things. I used to create projects around that. I've been to Hackathon also in that domain. But yeah, it was not planned that I'll join this particular company. This happened with time, and then I developed interest there and I started taking part in hackathons.
So I guess you've also won a hackathon, right? So this was a part of your college days when you were in college, right? So on this, let's talk about one of the hackathons, right? So how important do you think hackathons play a part in a developer's life, or people who are planning to become good developers? Because I guess now everyone is a developer, right? But the quality, or you can say good developers, are rare still to find, and that is where I guess companies are still recruiting for. They don't want developers anymore; they want good developers. So in this whole thing, right, how important do you think hackathons play a part, and how people who are wanting to start, so what is that you would suggest them? Okay, how do you participate in one? How you plan to win one? And how do you work with teams and everything? So if you could throw some light on the hackathons and their importance.
Sure. Yeah, again, a good question, I would say. So hackathon, like I would say, is very important actually. And for me, there were different motivation to take part in hackathons and all. So for me, coding which we do, so there is some question which is there. You need to revert an array, reverse an array, or sort an array. So for me, I was not able to relate this to real world actually. Okay, I'm sorting this array. What will I get out of that? How can I relate to my practical life? But for me, hackathons is the place where I can relate coding and the real world applications of that. So usually hackathons are conducted by some industries, government and companies, and the problem statements are from some real world problems which they are facing. So there you get to think about those problems. Okay, this is how actually you solve a problem, and then you implement with your technical knowledge. So this tech learning comes into play. And so when I was in my second year, I visited to some different cities for taking part in hackathons. So this networking things happens. And another interesting motivation is that there's a good prize money which you will get. And apart from that, free swags, goodies, and things like that. Yes, so a good thing. In your college, if you get some prize money around like a lakh or some thousands, few bucks, so it's an interesting motivation to pursue something. So that's why like I recommend this, and I used to take part in hackathons. That there are multiple benefits actually. Not only tech learning, you get to work as a team. So in software development, you will not be working on alone on some project. There will be certain colleagues which will be there. You'll be coordinating with. So again, hackathons is a place to learn that also, how to divide your work. So suppose there is a problem statement, there is a front end part, back end part, and there is presentation part. So you can pick your team members, you can divide work accordingly. Okay, I'll work on this part, you can work on this part, and this versioning thing which is required.
Correct.
Okay, again working on some code, you're also working on the same code. So how will collaborate in this case? So you'll learn about versioning. So for me, learning was that, okay, what is the requirement of that learning? Then I learned that. It was not, okay, I'll just learn some coding algorithms and I'll be able to relate it. So this is how hackathon played a very important role. So I was part of Syndicate Bank Hackathon in my second year, and then Smart India Hackathon, and this Microsoft related hackathon also. This in my second year, I started taking part in all these hackathons.
So I guess hackathons and competitions also give social validation.
Yes.
And like if you stand out, like people start recognizing that face. Okay, I know this guy, he has been to multiple hackathons, and I guess that also plays an important role when you're applying for jobs. And you're making, or basically seeking, you can say, recommendations, or people are validating, okay, I know this guy, he has been into building stuff and he knows how to do things. I guess that works same way, is it?
Absolutely. So if you see, there are like algorithms, so it's same for everyone, right? So if you work on some sorting algorithm, that will be common for me. If I mention that, okay, I learned this algorithm, so there'll be 1,000 more people who will be having the same thing on
Correct,
the
correct.
resume. But this hackathons are that social validation or unique thing you mentioned. You can put on your resume. Okay, if I worked on some hackathon, this is the problem which is very unique, and this is how I approached it. So you get to discuss many things around that hackathon project. And this, as you mentioned, that you will be standing out from the crowd. So because everyone will not be part of the hackathon, or
Correct.
some will be very few set of people who will be there. So again, from the resume or interview point of view, also hackathon is a good thing to have on your resume.
As a part of Hackathon, you must have met a lot of folks from the industry. So how important does networking in this tech sector play a role, specifically as starting out basically? If I guess your first hackathon would have been, I guess, an experimental thing, because I know how it feels in the first hackathon. We are completely new to the whole environment and making network, making connections. How has that helped and till today, right? How important for you is networking and meeting new people and connecting on intellectual level, right? How important is that as a developer, and more or less rather than a leader or an individual for that matter?
Yeah, so if you see, we are human beings, are social beings, so communication, networking, building bond is natural for us. So when you find someone like in the same field in which you are working, so that is a very good point, plus point to discuss things, to come up with new ideas. So if you see, there are many startup stories and founding members are there. So they met in some cafe, they discussed something, and in a hostel room, a big company started. So all this, if you see, an example of networking only. So
Correct.
if you see this Facebook story, how it started, and
Yeah.
there are many other companies that they were actually friends were doing something in their backyard, in their hostel rooms, and it turned out to be a multi-billion dollar in all these companies which are there. So when you take part in hackathons and other such competitions, so I'll share my experience. In my second year, I visited Bangalore. So I was in Pune. I visited Bangalore for a hackathon, and that was an open hackathon. And by open, I mean that it was not for only college students. Corporates can also take part in it. And in my second year, we were the youngest team present there to take part in
Wow.
hackathon. Another team were working, and working professionals were there. So if you see this itself, you'll get to see people who are senior to you, how they are approaching things, how they are coming with ideas. So they'll be pitching their ideas in front of you. They'll be presenting it to judges and all. So there is a lot of learning which happens if you are in your room solving certain questions and all. So that learning will not be there. So that is important. But hackathon and other this networking events gives you that flavor that you get to know about things which other person is learning. Suppose you are learning a technology A and I'm learning technology B.
Mhm.
So if I try to learn that same technology A, I'll require more effort, which
Correct.
resources to start, which
Correct.
place to go and all. But you've already learned it, you have some experience. So I can just simply reach out to you, okay, I want to learn this technology A. What are the good resources? What are the good YouTube channels or good courses to start with? So in your day-to-day learning also, you'll say having this networking or connection helps you to give a head start or some speed initially.
Right. Coming back to your college, right? Once you graduated or once you completed education, right? And I guess you went. I guess your first job was in the big tech giant, right? How did it feel? Basically, like people, I guess, as for me, right? Especially by spend my college is having fun in the initial, to be honest, right? But as for you, right? How does it feel like you get out of the college? Basically a question? Did you guys? Since because aiming for Microsoft is a big thing, and I guess coming from an army background, you have had that discipline. But did you guys enjoy, go out, watch movies? As per other colleges, or was very like poor study kind of the people who are like very focused. Okay, I have my goal. I want to go there, and I'm going to start working on day zero. How was your college life? So, from studies.
Sure. So I would say as the army background thing again came into
Correct.
place here also. So I always focus on holistic development. So it's not just about studies, and also in my school days I used to take part in co-curricular activities. In my college also, in my first year, was part of different clubs, dance club, debate, dramatics and quiz club, and other organizing events and all. Because again, like it's when you join some software company also, it's not that as a software engineer you'll be coding whole day.
Correct.
You'll be presenting that project to someone. You'll be reaching out to people to get some help and all. So all these skills are learned when you work on some other things also. So definitely it was not like I was only coding from day one and all. So I was part into various clubs. I used to take part in activities and all. But yeah, you need to know like what should be the priority at what time. So if you have your interviews coming, your exams coming, then you cannot say, okay, my networking thing is more important. So there is a right time for everything. So use that time, invest that
balance
time.
out
Yeah,
all the
balance
parts.
out. Right.
Great. And how did that whole journey of, planning to get into Microsoft, to applying, to interviewing, and to actually joining, how did that come to a reality basically? If you could just shed some light on that.
So again, I would say interesting question because it was COVID, which it started like after my
Yeah.
second year. So we were in our homes and online college and online things were there. So again, year was about to start, so we all were worried. Okay, how we'll get the internships? This COVID time is there. How things will flow? How things will progress? So then this project competition from Microsoft, it was shared in some of our college page or some college group. So I applied for it, and at that time, only a selected set of colleges were there for that project competition from Microsoft side. So around 20 colleges were selected, and our college was one of them. So other colleges were some IITs, NITs, and but our college was also there because there are a good number of alumni who are working from Microsoft from our college.
Okay.
So I think that was the reason our college was there in that list. So I applied for that, and there was an online screening round which was there, and then we were told that you need to form like team of 4, 3 or 2, or you can work on it as an individual also. And there were 2 problem statement which we need to work on, and along with that problem statement you will get a mentor also who will be helping you to navigate things and to learn more about that. So this was the first phase of my Microsoft journey. So I created a team of 4 with my college friends only. We worked on project, and we had one senior data scientist from Microsoft as our
They
mentor.
only assign the mentors.
Yes, they only assigned the mentors, and they were Microsoft like engineers and
Okay.
developers only. And then we used to have some weekly sync up with them, and they used to share not only about that particular project, but in general how a tech career looks like, how Microsoft work life, and all those things. And they used to conduct some sessions on some things like AI and some challenges there and all those things. So things were starting at that time around AI and all.
Mhm.
So that was a month-long program which was there. And earlier we were not sure what will be the conclusion of this. Well, there will be some prize money, there will be some opportunity and all. Because at the end of that, like I think month, we asked our mentor, okay, what is the outcome and what is there in that result of this. So he mentioned that you learned a lot. I think that is a good outcome you should focus on. So like we were like, okay,
We're
that's
sad
it.
basically, to be honest.
Yeah, we were like not sure we invested our time, so what is the
Yeah.
actual outcome and all. But then we received a mail that you have an opportunity to intern with Microsoft, and there'll be interview round for that. And also they announced results also for that project competition. So we got all India rank 7 in that. So
Wow.
that is, I think, based on that category, top 10 winners were there, and we were like standing at 7. So that was, again, there was no prize money for that winning
But
that
still,
competition.
getting an
But
opportunity
the
for
opportunity
interviews is a bigger
to,
prize.
yeah, that was a big thing. Like we were very happy, okay, we got this opportunity. So then after some time, I think that interview was scheduled, and it was with some principal level person in Microsoft, like my interview, I would say. And there were questions again around DSA, linked list tree, and I mentioned this hackathon thing. So that I would say was very helpful in that discussion.
Mhm.
So an interviewer is also like, if they see same resume with some projects, they also get bored actually. So because of this hackathon related things which were there on my resume, there was a good discussion which happened around one of my projects from my hackathon project only. And that was the project I was able to talk about, share my approach around problem solving and all. So you get some content to speak and discuss an interview. And they're also interested to know how you approach things actually. Because many people come with some projects which is there on internet and all these things, and they get bored, okay, there's nothing new in it. So there also this hackathon thing I would say held in my interview for internship.
So what project did you work on? And I'm also curious now.
Sure. So this project was around that syndicate bank hackathon, so which was there, and we worked on some queue management system. So
Okay.
in banks you would see the long queues are there, and so idea was, problem statement was how we can improve that. So we came up with an idea that we can assign some kind of digitalized token to every queue, and there will be an app where you will get live update queue. Okay, if your position is 10, if 2 persons leave the queue, you will be updated. This is the estimated time you will be reaching the counter. So you can plan your time and you can plan your day. Okay, if it's taking 2 hours to reach that counter, sometimes banks have long queues and all
Correct,
also.
correct.
Now it is digitalized, but it was like 4 to 5 years back I am talking. So this was the problem statement we worked on. So we created a front-end login page for customers in that web app, how customer will enter their customer ID. And there also we created one feature, like if there is a high network individual, so banks have this concept of special customers.
Correct.
So if you have high deposit,
Mhm.
so they will not like that, they don't want to stand in queue and all.
Yeah.
So if I reach bank and enter my customer ID, and if I'm a HNI, my manager or someone in the bank who is there, they'll be get notified, okay, there is an HNI individual who is there in the bank premises. So he can be catered specially, whatever requirements are there.
Give some priorities.
Given some priority can be given to him in service and all. So this was our project.
Good idea, I guess. We still face that bank
Yes,
queues
yes.
issues.
Right.
Amazing. So coming back to this interview process. So you said like you focused on like system design, DSA, and hackathons, especially stood out, right? So once you cleared out this interview, right? How like again the question I guess a lot of viewers might be interested in. How actually is the life at Microsoft? Because everyone I guess on the internet we say okay, wow life, like it's crazy. You see good pictures, people posting here, and how actually the life is at Microsoft. Let's talk about majorly can see your day one as a new joiner. Right? How does it feel entering into that office or something of that sort?
So there were like 2 day ones for me. One was doing my internship. So that was a different experience. Like as an intern, you have different set of challenges and all, and then I joined as full time. So I would talk about that internship thing also, because if we go back to our previous question, how I landed in Microsoft, the internship was again another level which was there. So internship was pretty challenging actually. So how they approach internship is, suppose they want to work on some project. So there is a tech feasibility check which they do. Okay, if I'm as a company, if we are like taking 5 developers to work on some project, that should be feasible. If I invest 5 developers on some project and I find out okay that is not feasible, so actually that's a waste of resource and all.
Correct.
Interns are opportunities where they use interns new ideas, their like time resources as to find this tech feasibility and all these things. So for me the project was around some data model change in our product, which I'm currently part of, and that was one very crucial project and very critical project actually, and there was very high stacks on that project, and they were also not sure at that time what will be the roadmap to solve this problem. So now like I was having mentors and buddy and everything was there for me, but again it's a 8 weeks of short span. So if you see 8 weeks, you need to learn something, understand problem, implement that, present that. So too much things to do.
Another hackathon kind of
Hackathon kind of thing, right? And here stacks are quite high. Like you are thinking about PPO and every other thing which is there in your mind. So initial week was onboarding, because you get to have understanding of how some application process works. You will get your device, some authentication related, approval related things will be there. So 1 week is like over, like within few days. You will not like understand okay this 1 week is over only. From second week we started brainstorming and all, and usually they have for interns weekly demo site sort of things. So every week you will present the work you're doing. But my problem was in a different domain and all, so there was no weekly demo sort of things.
Okay.
So first demo I presented was around end of my 6th week or 7th week. So this was another like challenging thing I was going through at that phase. Okay, I've not presented any demo till now. I'm not sure what my manager is thinking about my work, what seniors are thinking, the other leadership members are thinking. Because to present that demo, we need to work on something, to show something.
Correct.
And that took six weeks to actually create first demo. So this was the level of problem like during my
Very
intern,
complex.
very challenging.
Yes.
And during that I would say work life was also, most of my time I was dedicating to my internship only. But yeah, again it was interesting, challenging and fun at the same time. So this is how my day during that time, that I used to have a mentor who used to discuss. So I contributed to do 2 different repos. So one was in C#.NET,
Okay.
another was in TypeScript React. So you see, like I was not doing both the languages actually.
Yeah.
So I learned during that internship, I implemented that. So this is how like tech thing works
But again,
actually.
these two are also I guess two different tracks.
Two different techs, right? So having understanding, and actually those code bases are legacy code base.
Correct.
So they are been there from like 5, 10, 15 years. To make a change also you need to understand okay what are the different classes and what is the relationship between them.
Correct.
So but yeah, again it's a learning and you will get right support. So that is a very good thing. I was having very supportive mentor and buddy in Microsoft. That was a very positive thing. And I still like I'm in touch with them and they are with me in the same team. So I would say in terms of support and all, it's a great place to be and work in. It's not like that you will be left alone to work on your project and all. You will get proper support. My manager also used to check in and have sync up with me that you're getting the right support, you need more support, or any problem you are facing or challenges you are facing. So in that terms, I would say Microsoft culture is pretty good in terms of support and all. And so this is how my internship went, and eventually there was a exit interview also.
Okay.
For interview, you will get one more. Like for PPO, you need to present appear for one more interview to get PPO actually. PPO stands for pre-placement offer.
Pre-placement offer.
So there was one more interview at the end of my internship based on managers and your mentors' feedback. That interview is there. So I was having good feedback and all, and that interview went pretty well. It was mostly around my internship project only. And yeah, after that, after a week or two, I think I received that mail that I received that PPO and all. And this is how your like internship ends, and this is around start of your fourth year. So I was like done with my placements all in my initial phase of fourth year. So I was having that 1 year break before joining Microsoft. And when I joined back, so you have this opportunity, you can join the same team in which you interned, or you can join a different team also. But usually they also prefer, and as an individual also, I think I would say you should join the same team.
You know what you're working on
Yeah,
already.
because you know the product, you know the
Correct.
team members.
Exactly.
Another challenge is that if some new thing is assigned to you, you're not sure like what kind of technology product or your interest should be there or not. So I like the product which I worked during my intern. I joined the same team, and from there also I was knowing most of the team members that time. So it was great to
Another advantage.
Yes, and my internship was during COVID time, so it was fully virtual internship. And when I joined as a like in person
Person.
in Bangalore office. I joined. It was good to meet all the folks in person, interact with them, and to discuss my internship stories and all. So, and this onboarding was also very good. Like I was having very supportive. Again, you are assigned buddies and mentors when you join as a new member also full time. So very good support was there. And in terms, if you ask me about the like day-to-day work in the Microsoft or the work culture, I would say it's pretty good. And Microsoft I think is famous for that. It varies with team to team. So there is a Uber level culture, I would say, which is there at Microsoft. But again, with every team, there will be slight variation. The team which you have, the product which you are working on. So the product which I work on is relatively new as compared to product like Office, which is there, or these things are there. Their Office, you know, on Windows, you know, from many like last many years, and they're very well established and market leaders kind of things in their domain. But the product and team which I am working, so that is relatively new, and it's more like startup kind of culture, discussion, multiple releases, new features which you get to work on. So in that terms also it was very interesting. In terms of other facilities you get in Microsoft, like food is there, you get goodies and all, and pay is also competitive.
That becomes additional in the work.
Yes, right. So, and office is also quite like you like the office environment and all. So Hyderabad office is I think the first office which they started. I was in Bangalore office. And they have this like play arena and all these things are there in the office, so to take breaks and all. So yeah, overall I would say it was a good experience from day one.
So in your whole journey in Microsoft as a software engineer, like can say if you can talk about any key projects that you were a part of that you think, okay, I have been these best projects in my whole tenure with Microsoft till now.
Sure. So yeah, my internship project was actually that was productionized later. Like after my internship, the team worked on that and it was released into production. So, but it was again an interesting project. But I would talk about my projects from my full-time journey actually. So, in a short span of 1.5 years, which I've had at Microsoft, like there are multiple interesting projects which I got to work on. So, first was around a tool called Human Generator. So, Human Generator is a tool which helps you to build some initial set of scaffolding of any application. Suppose you are creating a Chrome extension.
Okay.
There will be some 5-10 files which will be required in every Chrome extension, right? So to start with that, these tools helps you to generate that initial set of files and all. So there was similar requirement in my product also, so I worked on that. Then second thing I worked was around telemetry. So telemetry, I think for the audience I would share. So telemetry is logging of data related to product. So that plays an important role for any product because all the business decisions based on data. What new features should be launched? Okay, so there is some problem in some login flow, some other flow which is broken. So all this information is from telemetry only. So I got a chance to work on telemetry infra related things for my product. So that was so these things are like core to every software engineer. So this will be there in every software engineer's life. So it's good you get to work on these things like telemetry, data logging and all. So I got a chance to work on data analysis, creating reports and sharing with wider team members how product is doing, what is the users and all. So it was a good understanding around the business of any technical product. Okay, how decisions are made based on data, how you see that what is the uses, daily uses, weekly uses, monthly uses. So this was the second thing I worked on. And the latest thing which I'm still working, I started is related to AI.
Okay.
So I would say I was very fortunate that I got a chance to work on AI project of my team. So you might be aware Microsoft launched many co-pilots actually.
Correct.
So in our product also we have a co-pilot, and I'm still part of that like
You're
team
building
which
the co-pilot.
co-pilot, yes. So this is
Wow.
specific to our product, but yeah, like again an interesting thing. That's something which is very trending in market.
Yep.
And so people sometimes think in big companies you will not get to work on trending technologies and all, so which is I would say not true. Maybe some products will be there where you will not get to work, but in my case I was able to work on this AI thing. I was part of that V team which worked on the Copilot for our product, and it was very interesting to learn about prompt engineering and all these things, trending terms which we hear nowadays.
Yeah.
Prompt engineering, large language models, and chat gpt, OpenAI.
Correct.
So I got a chance to work on this. I'm still part of that project, and yeah, that is my current investment.
So on the
right
same
now.
lines, right? Before we move on to your again the life at Microsoft, as we're on the topic of AI, right? How do you think AI has changed the way developers approach their, you can say, day-to-day works, or how you can say, do you think it is a, you can say, a positive impact at that, or does it have a negative impact on a developer as into day-to-day life operations at, let's talk about Microsoft, or you can talk about general as well. But how has AI impacted the life of a developer?
Yeah, so actually, if you see this GitHub Copilot, which is there for
Correct.
developers, so it
Yep,
was launched. It was one of the first AI product which was launched in market before this Bing Copilot and other things. So, and if you see the adoption numbers shared by them, so it was pretty amazing.
Yep.
So many big companies actually paid for that so that developers can use that tool. So definitely a positive impact. And how it is positive is, so every engineer, it's like you search things, you Google things, you find things to understand different like requirements for your day-to-day work. But now, what was the problem that if I'm working in, suppose a VS Code window, I'm writing my code, and for searching, I used to go to Google or some Edge browser or some other browsers for that work, right? So it was kind of a context switch, and I may get distracted and I go into some other things also. So in that terms of focus and productivity, also now you have this Copilot inbuilt in VS Code itself. So okay, I want to know how particular function or particular library is implemented in this particular language. I just ask it there. It will have understanding of my code. Also, some kind of algorithms are there, and it will provide you the answer there itself. So if you see, like lot of time is saved in this whole progress. You are switching tabs. There are 10 different tabs which are open. Now you have a chat kind of thing. So it's like having a friend who is sitting next to you, conversation with you, right? So that's the best part I would say, and I also use in my day-to-day work also. So definitely a positive impact, and it's evolving technology. We'll see more improvements in future, but definitely a promising thing which should be there in everyone's life.
So the speed that at which the AI is evolving, right? Does it anytime like has that thought come to your mind? Okay, it is scary, or it might someday in point overtake actual developers, because I guess this is one of the questions that is making rounds on the internet, and a lot of blogs even talk about it, right? With AI revolution and it growing at a crazy speed, basically, right? What is your take on that?
Yeah, so actually, I also thought about this. Okay, this AI is something we discussed right now, that it's like a friend.
Correct.
Okay, so we are giving that humanization or personalization to that product, which is technical thing. And what will happen? We have seen some reports also that it was giving some abusive response and everything which was there. But again, no one can stop that thing to happen. AI is a thing which is already happening and which will evolve in future. So again, when this dot-com boom happened, which internet thing happened, again this suspicions were there that okay, what will happen? So when assembly line came, so people were thinking okay, now there will be no jobs and all.
No jobs.
But actually, it's like nature of job will change, nature of work will change. People will adapt to that thing. So again, AI thing is like that only. There are companies like in Microsoft also. There is a specific team which is there to work on responsible AI actually. So AI should be controlled and in the right manner it should respond. There are checks for that, and there is huge investments made in that direction also. So again, we should not be fearful, but at the same time, like we should at our
Learn
level,
how to use it
yes,
for our
how to
benefit.
use it for our benefit.
Great. As a developer working in Microsoft, right? Because yeah, we know that there's a famous dialogue, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? So how is it as compared to you would say the stress level, or managing, you guys, a lot of tasks at one time management or stress management? How does, like, were there any situations where your patience was tested, your stress level was tested, in some particular project? What were the situations when you thought of giving up in this whole period, and how did you navigate through that particular stage?
Okay. Yeah, so I would again like refer back to my internship example. So that was not around AI and all, but again it was a tough challenge, and I was in my third year. I joined a big tech and all these things. So you have that kind of imposter syndrome also in your mind. Ki, okay, I'll be able to do this or not, and this challenge is always there, and that is a human thing. That this is how brain works. Whenever some new challenge is there, your mind will try to go in that comfort zone because mind wants to keep you in a comfortable position actually, and there'll be some pain and there'll be some challenges which you will feel ki, okay, I'll be able to do it or not, what will be outcome. But again, this challenge is actually fun actually, because greater the challenge, the outcome or the reward is also like that.
Correct.
So have that confidence in or belief in you, that give your best shot. Whatever happens will happen anyway. Like that result is not in under your control, but when you are working on it, you have that opportunity, give your best, and like rest is again, no one knows the future, like what will happen actually. So this is the mantra I try to follow during my internship. Also I followed this and this AI related journey, because every day some new technology is there, some new changes are there. Sometimes there were ad hoc requests also, okay, now this new thing is there, you need to implement this within a day or two or something, like this kind of requirements are also there. But again, whatever best is possible, keep your health in place, because that is the most important thing, because we say health is wealth.
Correct.
Because health is gone, so you'll not be able to think properly.
Mhm.
So I see sometimes people neglect that and all this, and in the long run that will have a negative impact. So try to have your food and sleep habits in place and give it your best shot, have some physical exercise and all these things. Look, this is what I follow for my overall well-being and all. And with that you'll be able to like navigate that challenge, because if you like go through some challenge, this kind of challenging things, when you look back, that is very interesting and very satisfying thing to see actually.
Yep.
Okay, you actually did something. So it's like climbing a mountain. So when you are climbing that mountain, you will see, okay, that peak is too high, but when you reach that peak and when you look around, so that view is something you actually work hard for.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what I would say, like.
Yeah,
it was-
I guess as a part of your developer journey, there would have been also instances where, as a team, you are not able to meet some deadlines, or you are not able to deliver something, right? Kind of let's start failures in terms of when we talk about season failures, right? So, how are failures handled, and how do you think it plays a role when your manager or even a team lead handles failure in a positive way so that it does not impact the team working for you? How do you think that was handled, and how important is it to handle failures in a proper way?
Yeah. So like it will be there for every individual that you will not be successful like 100% of the time. There will be challenges, there will be failures, and there will be things will you not be able to work on individually. So I would say this communication plays a very important role. So if okay, I'm facing some challenge. So it's not that like I'm the only one who should solve this or I should spend all my time.
Mhm.
So communicate, share with your team members. There'll be someone who will provide some insights to you. Share it with your manager that I'm facing this challenge actually. It will take more time. So this was the planned timeline, but because of the challenges, it may take more time. So when this communication is there, they will also understand. It's not like some like hard or fast kind of rule which is there that you need to complete this in this particular time frame. So you can share that your challenges with them, get some solution, get some help from them, and in this way you should navigate those challenges. If you keep it to yourself, no one is like they'll not be able to read your mind. Okay, you are facing some challenges. There can be some health concerns also at times. Okay, you are doing some project, but your health is not good, so you are not able to deliver at time what was decided or not. So you can communicate to your manager. Someone else can take up that work if it is very important, or otherwise when you are like well and good, you can again come back to that project and start contributing. So proactive communication is very important in such cases when something is not working, I would say.
So on the same as right, as in that part of communication, apart from the technical skills, right, as a part of becoming a software developer or an entrepreneur, a leader, I think, how important do you think soft skills play a role in a person's life? Like, okay, I understand, okay, we for a job we need all the skills and technical skills and all that stuff. That's correct. But how important part does all those things apart from tech skills play a role, especially when you're communicating with a team or working together as a collaborative effort? We have to also be open-minded to get feedbacks from everyone. You have to understand. You cannot cut them off. Even if you disagree, there has to be a certain tone that you follow. How do you think that is also important when you're working in an organization like this? and to be able to work around all the people who also, of course, will not be of the same nature, of the same background. How much important do you think that is?
Yeah, right. So I'll take an analogy to explain this. So the core technical skills like the product which you are building. So you are a product, you are building your skills, you are improving yourself, and that is what is being valued in the market. And the soft skills like is like the packaging which is there. So if you see a product in the market also, first thing you see that outer covering is very important, and
Correct.
when you use the product, that is definitely important. You actually pay for the product. But if you see if presentation is not good, so that product will not reach that height or that particular reach actually. So same is the case with as an individual also with us also. So if you are having some tech skills and everything is there, but if you are not able to present it, so if I know 10 things, but my communication or my presentation is not good, so I'll be able to convey those 2 things only to you. So those 8 things are not known, that you'll not know that I know those 8 things also. So there this communication plays an important role, that you should be able to convey your thoughts, your ideas clearly, because when we work in companies like this or any product you work on, so there'll be challenges, there'll be problems, you'll be discussing things with 10 different people, okay, and sometimes they are from different geographies also, from different countries also. So if I need to get answer for something, I need to present that problem well. So if I'm not able to explain my problem to you, you'll not be able to provide me solution.
Correct.
So and this is like part of your day-to-day job actually. Like I would say in everything place, I would say this will be true. So it's very important that you work on these things also, because when you work on some project, so there are demos also which you present. Okay, I created this feature, so I'll show it to 10 different people, product managers, senior leaders who are there. So if I'm not able to present it well, so they will not understand what hard work went behind it actually, because whatever I'm showcasing in that 5-10 minutes of video or the demo which I'm presenting, that is what they'll be seeing. So it's very important to create your impact, to create that visibility. You work on those communication skills. And now coming to the second question you mentioned around that people have different natures actually, how to work with them.
Correct.
So having a genuine empathy and compassion is very important. So we are humans, we are not machines. So people will not have their emotions at their home when they're coming for work. So there'll be some personal problem in everyone's life, some health challenges will be there. So acknowledge that and have a genuine empathy for that, how you can help and how you can provide some support to them. Because someday you will be also in that situation, you will be also needing help. So they will be also understanding the same thing, because what you like sow is what you will again get. So it's very important have a genuine like human nature, like think good about others. It's not about that you will win after like leaving something behind. So don't think there's a famous, I think some proverb is there. So when you are running a race, don't think to cross some person 1 or person 2. Think about reaching the finish line first. So there's a change of mindset actually. So again, when you're working in company or some kind of competitive work environment, so don't focus ki I'll take this person down and then I'll reach the top position and all those things. So these are some negative things which sometimes people bring in like their work culture and all. But instead have a positive mindset that I'll do my good work, I'll help others whatever possible there in my time, bandwidth and all. And like till now in my like, whatever experience I had a very good experience, and there was a very positive environment, and I have good feedbacks with the people I'm working with. So yeah, this is the thing you should I think focus
It's
on.
just a crazy question around the line. Like being Microsoft, right? We always think, okay, we want to meet people behind the whole idea. Did you ever like? Do you have any plans, or like, do people in Microsoft get a chance to meet the leadership team or interact with them? Like, for example, now I guess CEO Satya Nadella, or for that matter, let's go one level up, Bill Gates, right? Do you ever think, or is there a possibility that we folks at Microsoft get to meet the very senior leadership team
Yes.
and interact with them?
Yeah, so there is a very good thing. So there's something called AMA, Ask Me Out kind of sessions.
Okay.
So which are conducted by people at various levels. So there is a VP of product kind of there who reports to Satya, and there'll be some more like position below them. So they all hold monthly or bi-monthly or that kind of like Ask Me Out anything sessions. You can put your questions, and those questions mostly because now it's a hybrid work environment. So it's not possible every time to have that physical in-person meeting. But these online sessions are always there, and they are live sessions. Your questions will not be like filtered or something like that. They'll be answered live on that chat. And yeah, in person also, if like there are sometimes leadership visits, like one of our VPs visited Bangalore from USA and all. And it was like you and me, we are sitting and discussing something. So you can just approach them and discuss actually. So in that sense, it's pretty like good culture there, approaching the leadership and discussing your thoughts.
Right. So coming into the last segment of the podcast, right? Mainly focus on the career aspects. So we have folks here watching this whole thing that who are very interested, and for a lot of people, right? Microsoft is one of their dream companies to join. So what is can say a piece of advice that you would give to those folks who are starting off their career? Like because as a part of the conversation that I found out you had your placement sorted, right? You can say that where all the students actually struggle in the last years, you had your last year sorted out, where you could actually chill, right? Because you had your internship in place, you had your PPO in place, you just had to spend 1 year and then you were good to go in Microsoft, right? So what are those disciplines or you can say self or protocols that you put to yourself or you would advise for students to follow so that because I understand there won't be any you can say rigid you can say pathways that would apply to everyone, but on a generalized level, what you think students should work on more, focus more on, or put their efforts into as they're starting a career years, so that they can land somewhere near where you have figured out your career.
Okay, so I'll limit my answer to this tech domain only because I think most of our audience are also from that background. So in tech, there are certain requirements from companies if you want to reach to certain companies and all. So now information is widely available now. You cannot say that I was not knowing about it. So be active there. So I am sometimes surprised people say, okay, I was not knowing about this opportunity, work on you're active on internet and all, so you should figure out what are the opportunities, what are competition, what are the hackathons, interviews, or whatever full-time opportunities are there. So be aware about things which are there in the market, try to find the requirements. Or suppose if you're applying for Microsoft or some other company, there is a career page where they define the criteria they want from your, so there will be some DSA skills required, some software skills, fundamentals, communication skills will be required. So okay, these are the things I need to work on. So then accordingly plan your your day-to-day activities, you're learning accordingly. Okay, 2 DSA questions I'll do every day. So if you're starting from first year, so don't focus on intensity, focus on consistency first.
Okay.
So intensity comes after consistency. So on one day I'm solving 10 problems and next 1 month and 2 weeks I'm not solving. So it's better to solve 1 or 2 problems every day and keep this as a habit. So this consistency actually will help you to get that skills or learn those skills. So this is one thing I would say, because nowadays with more information, more distraction is also there.
Correct.
So earlier we used to have this one book. Okay, so for physics you have this HC Verma.
Correct.
So that was sorted. But now you have 10 different books, 12 different courses, and other YouTube channels, guidance, and everything is there. So don't try to spend time more on what is the best thing which I can get. Find something which is good, having good reviews, and then start working on that. So even if you are able to reach 90-80% through that particular course, book, or some guidance, so that is well enough. And after that, you can explore on your own actually. So sometimes I see nowadays there's too much courses and too much distraction, everything. People spend more time on starting different courses instead of completing one course. So this is one thing people should keep in mind while starting on something. Pick one thing, learn it well at a good level, and then you can move on. You can explore different other courses also. So this is one thing. And apart from that, keep challenging yourself. So this competition, coding competition, hackathons, they will give you a reality check of your learning actually. So if I'm learning something and if I'm not knowing what is my standing among 10 different or 100 different people, so I'll not be able to analyze myself, what needs to improve. But when you take part in this coding competitions for DSA and for hackathons and other things, you get to know what are people around me who are of same age, who are of same peer group, what they are working on, what is their level. Because they'll be the same set of people who will be there with you during interview also. They'll be competing for that job and all. So if you have that idea, okay, I need to work on this 5-10 things and this is how my peers are standing. So you can work on those things. So have that challenges there in life, have that checks and reality checks, and you can accordingly improve and build upon that.
Got it. My next question would be theory versus practical, right? Because how important, if we had 100% to divide into two things, theory and practical, how would you distribute that?
So I would say around 60-70% for practical and 30-40% for theory. Because whenever you try to learn something, there is an initial set of theory which you should know. There is some basic understanding which is there. So you need to read upon that. You need to read some documentation and all. Because you cannot just start doing practicals, right? In school days also, we used to first study about experiment, then we need to perform in lab. So you cannot just go to lab and start putting some chemicals and mixing that. So there, this 30 to 40% of theory knowledge, I would say we can keep it to 30. We want to have a specific number. And after that, once you have a basic understanding, then dive into practical and start exploring. Okay, you know now A plus B is equal to C. So now you can explain it more, and you can understand it more and expand it from this place.
Right. On the initial question, just before this, I asked, like you mentioned about people starting off various courses at the same time but not being able to complete them, right? But if on the same note, right, I wanted to ask you one thing. Like we also see a lot of students, right, nowadays, specifically people who are not aware of how industry works, right? We see a lot of people just starting a course just because of a certificate, just completing it for the sake of completing it and adding it to their profiles, like adding a bunch of certificates. As a developer who has successfully made it into Microsoft, how much do you think your certifications or the things that you put in play a role? When I talk about certifications, majorly those are basic certificates like attending workshops or all that stuff. And I understand degree and everything is important. Yeah, that is something you have to add. But all those skill level certifications of workshop, how important are those? Are like should students actually join this for certificates or rather for knowledge that you're going to get into? And how does that impact when you're applying for good companies?
Yeah, right. So as you already mentioned, that goal should be not to get that certificate or that some kind of rating on your profile or something like that. The goal should be to understand that you are the best person to judge. You learned actually that thing, or you just completed that course for some
Correct.
sake of some certificate or some goodies and all. So be your own like judge and all in this cases. If you are actually learning something, then invest that time. And if that certificate it is kind of byproduct which shows some kind of validation for your skills actually. But as such, well, in my experience, I would say I've never seen that companies are looking for certain certifications in your resume. Okay, if you have this, then you are better than other 10 people. It's mostly around your skills and understanding. Because if there's a certificate on your resume, and I started asking some questions around that. But if you are not having that knowledge, so actually you will be put in bad light in that interview and that discussion. But if you don't have that certificate and you are able to share that knowledge, that is good. And if you have a certificate and you also have the knowledge, yeah, well good.
So
That
basically, your
certificate makes
skills are more important or
Right.
have more weight in the whole process, right? Okay, so the one thing is something about like we've also heard about is a lot of people complain about okay, there are no jobs available, right? We have heard this specifically after COVID, right? Jobs nahi hai, nobody is hiring, people are not getting jobs, like freshers ke liye job nahi hai, something of that sort, right? So the major challenge that we see is the lack of connectivity between when people pass out from college and what the industry is expecting. So in this whole process, right, there's a huge gap that we already know. A lot of people still struggle after graduating from colleges or schools to find their first internship or first full-time job, right? They have to work a lot on themselves. So how do you think our current education system or not the whole education system but the curriculums that we are studying in our colleges, because you are also from BTech, right? Your college curriculum, that how much of that you think matched with what you actually joined for at Microsoft, and did you how much work did you have to do on your own apart from the apart from the things that were taught you in college to achieve that level of success?
Okay, yeah, so I would say this education system which we have actually, so the way at the pace which technology is evolving and the way our curriculum is, so it's that pace is not matching actually. So there are the gaps which are there. So you need to work on your own, you need to skill up and all those things are there. So definitely some gap is there and like not sure how it can be solved, and also this Let's Upgrade is one platform where we see that you are trying to approach us towards a solution for that. So this can be a one solution, I would say. But yeah, as I mentioned, I was from a electronics and telecommunication background. So the things I learned around circuit and all was not applicable in my this job.
Mhm.
So I learned about that, and actually we are also not sure what we are good at, what we want to learn in our initial phase of life and initial phase of this when we are starting career, and it takes some time to learn and understand that actually. So I would say it's part of a learning when you get to know okay, these are the things that you are wanting to learn and you want to pursue ahead in this. So skill up yourself accordingly, and that efforts will be required actually from your side. So need to take some courses for that, need to watch some books or read some books or watch some tutorials. So yeah, that effort is definitely required actually.
it would have been better if if as for me, okay, as for my college and you said your college, there were apart from these things that you learned, and like would that have been amazing if things like how to crack jobs in Microsoft or how to work on the things that are actually required to get an internship had been included in your curriculum. So basically, the idea is to map the curriculum as per the industry. If we get, I think, that access to the students, specifically from tier 3, tier 2 colleges who are not able to access that, because that might bridge the gap. Because another question that we have is our education system ready to ship out developers or engineers that the industry requires right now in terms of quality, or we can say, right, is it, or there is still again you can say a huge gap of, you can say, time frame, like okay, then the people are learning something old, when they come out they're not able to match the job requirements, and I guess that is, I think, one of the main reasons where a lot of students struggle, right? I guess what is your thing, like if the things that we learn match of what the companies are seeking, right? Would that have been better?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for sure, that would have been better because you spend a significant amount of your life in college. Actually, 3 years to 4 years. BTech is for 4 years, and 4 years is a good amount of time. You can learn many things actually, and you can master things actually. 4 years is that good amount of time. So if that understanding is there from initial days only, okay, this is what I need to work on if I want to get the job, and then accordingly my curriculum or my the credits which I'm courses which I'm taking in my college, they are aligned accordingly, so that will definitely help because sometimes now it's an extra pressure. I need to handle my college studies also, and I need to balance my own learning also. So if you see the both of the things converges, so it will be easier for students actually to skill up themselves.
Correct.
And be ready for job market as you are mentioning.
Right. So one of the initiatives that as on the BTech front, like we are taking, and I guess you interacted with the students. So we are at Future Tech with like Subject and Item Skills University. We are trying to solve the BTech for education, and just before this session, like you met the students.
Yeah.
Like how was the experience from the youth? I just wanted to get an idea, a candid feedback from you. From you must have interacted with a lot of BTech students, and these guys are just out of SEM 1. So how was, you can say, the comparison of the level of energy, the knowledge, the intellectual thing that you see? Like, are we on the right track? Like, are we doing something good?
Yeah, like as I mentioned earlier, also that I when I met those like students actually, so it was pretty amazing to interact with them. So the kind of questions they were asking around, like, okay, how should we approach certain things, scalability and versioning and all. I was having some post-session discussion also, one-to-one
Okay.
also. So they were very pretty good questions, and it's good that they are having this seed of thought in their mind. Okay, I'm thinking about some startups and entrepreneurship thing, and thinking about some building a product and all. So yeah, that is very amazing if they're able to think that after SEM1 itself, and this basic understanding of web development and all. So they mentioned that they worked on some single page application and other
Correct,
such
yeah.
things also. So if you see, yeah, definitely you were asking that what would be my recommendation or feedback on this. So if they move on this track by the time they are passing out, so they'll be actually that is what industry is needing.
Mhm.
So they are knowing about product development, they are knowing about coding and all. So definitely it will like produce a good set of developers which are actually job ready after college without any extra need of some extra course apart from curricular.
Correct. So I guess this podcast is going to be a lot of knowledge for the students who are watching this. And with this, I guess we can stop this podcast right here. So we'll be having you again to, I guess, a lot of stories still we'll love to hear about your college days, about your school days and army. So thank you so much for joining us, and it was a wonderful session. I guess a lot of students who are watching this will benefit and accordingly can plan their careers in whatever domain you want to go for. And of course, you learned about how to approach big tech companies, and you can of course take some insights. And as Amit very rightly mentioned, for consistency before intensity, right? It's very important, the discipline. And yep, with that, we'll be signing off for today, and we'll be meeting again for the next podcast very soon. Stay tuned for more people from Silicon Valley. We'll be getting to meet to you and understand their journey, their life, that we can help you grow into better developers. Thank you. Signing off for today. Bye bye.